Hey there, Independent Scientologists. Discover a new perspective to your bridge by visiting ao-gp.org. Get in session with remote auditing using the Theta Meter. Are you curious about where you stand? Head on over to ao-gp.org now and take our free personality test. Join the growing group of independent Scientologists today.
Hi, and welcome to another AOGP Scientology Outside of the Church podcast brought to you by the Advanced Org of the Great Plains. That's us, ao-gp.org. I'm here with Quenton Stroud, and the title of today's podcast is Going Clear, Independent Scientology Tell All. This is season 7. Hard to believe, but episode 20. For Quenton and I and Scientology Girl and a few other guests, but we're at 20 episodes for season 7. So, Quenton,
Amazing.
congratulations on your attestation to the state of clear this week. Tell us all about it.
Wow, it's really something, and thank you for that. Um, it's interesting because when I first started reading books in Scientology, I really just wanted to start with the books because I wanted this to be a study, not a practice, not a thing that I do, because I wasn't on that line, right? I wasn't feeling that. But as I read, things started making more and more sense. It started feeling like this is exactly how I want to live. This is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to feel in my life. And I just kept running with it from that point on. My first book I started with was Scientology: A New Slant on Life. And then I went straight into Fundamentals of Thought and then into Dianetics. Dianetics was my third book. Um, and so it was just realizing that there's these accomplishments, these achievements, these abilities, this feeling of being that was there, and I had no idea how to make it happen until I did. And so, going into auditing for me the first time, which was just doing Dianetics auditing, just with a twin, with a good friend of mine. Um, at first it was, okay, what am I supposed to be doing here? But the more I read, the more I studied, the easier it was to spot the things that was going on in my own mind, right? To spot the things that was going on that I was feeling like, okay, I know something's there, but now I can see it being a thing for me, being a hiccup, being a hang up, being an issue. In Christianity, they call it a stronghold. Like you got to tear down these strongholds in your own consciousness, in your own life, and it was some things that I had to deal with, some addictions, some considerations, some issues that I had for myself. And as it progressed, as things continued to move on, in my auditing, it got bigger.
What got
Not the
bigger?
issues. I was gonna say, not the issues got bigger, but the cognitions, the
Mm.
the the realizations, the what I know of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I look like a crazy person just like talking about this, but what what I know of me got bigger,
Mm-hmm.
and that felt amazing. So I wanted to call this Going Clear, Independent Scientology Tells All, because it wasn't until I sat down. Well, that's not true. I had a lot of wins on my journey to where I am now, even talking to you. But being able to be in my home, in the comfort of my home, in my own space. If I'm tired, I can go lay down in my bed. If I'm hungry, I can go right to my kitchen, grab something to eat. I don't have to run around trying to find food and do that. It became so much easier to go clear
Mm-hmm.
and to do auditing because of independent Scientology and sitting down and being able to just start, you know?
Yeah, there weren't these stops in the way.
Yeah. And just, I can't tell you how many parking tickets I got when I was dealing with having to go in and try to get some stuff done. So it's just yeah, it's a great feeling. Um, Let me say what would probably be the biggest secret of it all for me. Um, Consistency.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I learned probably more than anything. And even after going clear, LRH gives some references that kind of like say, okay, this is how you know it's time to hit it.
Uh-huh.
Like this is not time to slow down. This is time to like ramp it up a bit. And
Right.
so consistency is probably the biggest thing for me because there's this journey has been 22 years. It's been 22 years. Now
Mm-hmm.
that's from when I first started reading the books. Okay. But then sitting down and being in session, it actually hadn't been that long. Um, yeah, it hadn't been that long. If I count my sessionable hours,
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't been that long. But yeah, consistency is the key.
What would you
And studying and go ahead, I'm sorry.
what would you say that when you say consistency, would you say that consistency would be uh parallel or analogous to self-discipline, or are these different things for you?
Um, for me, it took a lot of self-discipline to be consistent,
Mm.
because I have a lot of big flows in my career, in my business, in my 2D situation. Like, there's a lot of things are that can just command your attention. Like I have to focus on this. I gotta get this done. Or I gotta get these extra clients taken care of, or whatever it can be. So, consistency did or does require a lot of self-discipline for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it does help to, I have multiple reminders around my house and my Alexa, and my phone, and my this and that. Like I have multiple things that say, go study, go in session,
Mm-hmm.
go do this. Like, and it's set up as an important reminder, which means it don't stop until I tell it to stop, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that really help me self-discipline, because this is self-discipline, having the constant reminders that this is very important. Like my self-care is very important. And so I value that even more so now. Definitely.
So what I think it would be good for our listeners to have a better context of your clear state. Can you give us a little bit of the timeline on the time track of how this whole thing came up? And you can go as far back as you want, if you get my drift,
Uh-huh.
and how this whole thing came about for you, and give them sort of the inside skinny on how this whole thing manifested for you, if you'll excuse the term.
No, I totally get it. Um, Well, I cognited for me, this is just for me, but I cognited for me that I am a past life Scientologist. So
Mm-hmm.
when I first picked up the books and when I first started reading, again, 22, almost 23 years ago, it was it was easy reads for me. It was easy to kind of
Seemed
like
familiar.
duplicate what was, yeah, it was easy to duplicate what was being said. It wasn't weird to me to read it, to understand what was happening in my own mind during this process. So, in this body, 22 years of study and courses and training and stuff like that. But if I had to go back, you know, um, it's been quite a journey and quite a
Mm-hmm.
number of decades and time. But it doesn't. I think LRH calls this this brief breath in eternity or something like that.
Yep, that's what he
And
says.
yeah, it's a brief breath in eternity, and that's kind of what it feels like when you can get a awareness of your whole existence. Okay. And I carry it out for a reason. Your whole existence. And this time that you put in the, on the cans in front of your auditor, in our case, remotely, and it seems like a brief breath. It really does seem like that,
Mm-hmm.
um, because of this whole thing. For me, realizing that I had um, my first thing was having to deal with my own body stuff, right?
Mhm.
Some addictions, some allergies. Like I had some allergic stuff that I had to kind of, and as I was auditing, they literally went away. I had this crazy strong grass allergy, and Dianetic auditings, I went back into this whole experience where it got hit upside the head. I'm laying
Mhm.
face down in the grass like this or whatever,
Yep.
and and I could smell the grass.
Mhm.
I could smell it. I could feel the sun because I was in the field. I could feel the sun on the back of my neck and my face, and all this started getting hot, and I could feel like my neck getting hot and my back getting hot. And I'm in session now, just sitting in a cool room,
Mhm.
but I'm burning up
Mhm.
and just kind of realizing like, yeah, this is some messed up stuff that I would have never picked
Mhm.
up in psychotherapy, or I would have never picked up in other modalities.
It's
Mhm.
funny because I remember you mentioning that in one of our earlier podcasts, and I've actually had people mention your narrative of that and how it got them to realize about things in their own life. And I wanted to mention that to you, and that they
Wow.
thanked us for you relaying that particular narrative of that incident to them,
Yeah.
and they brought it up to me in conversation. So other people have that reality as well as to how that sort of thing can happen because they were using it as an analog.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. I mean, man, it's crazy. Like the stuff that you don't think is affecting you, or you would never know was affecting you, and putting you in certain uh relationship condition, like choosing my relationships. It was from a fucking engram. It
Mm-hmm.
was like I was choosing relationships because of engram.
Mm-hmm.
Who does that?
Right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? And so I would say for me, I felt an increased intelligence. Definitely my health has improved. I do not take allergy pills anymore. I keep them. And my 2D was like, babe, when are you, what, these are expired. They expire like in 2022. And I'm like, 2023. And I'm like, no, it's 2022. And I said, oh, well, I was just keeping it just in case I needed them. And he was like, why? Why do you
Mm-hmm.
need these anymore? I haven't had any allergy issues, period. You
Mm-hmm.
know? And so it's just been really interesting. So improve health. Um, yeah, that's been a thing.
So as far as your and this is one of the things that he talks about in Dianetics or book one is your ability to respond to things, your decision making, snap decisions, staying in present time, that type of a thing. What did you see improve over this? Now, of course, it should be known that when you realized you were clear, this was what, remind me, wasn't it 20, was it 2020 that we date located the whole
Yes,
thing at? Okay.
correct.
So from that point forward, up until we nailed it down and got it all cleaned and cleaned up and spotted the other day,
Hmm.
what happened? I mean,
So,
what changed in those areas?
so at the risk of sounding a little wonky, um, my decision making for me, now other people can do what they do, but my decision making for me is akin to kind of like, so remember they talk about Spider-Man and his spider tingle, his spider sense,
Uh-huh.
and they said it's so keen, it's almost like precognition,
Right.
right?
Right. I
So
experienced that too.
yes, so for me, my decision making abilities and my awareness of things is so keen, it's almost like precognition, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where I know something is happening or going to happen, and sometimes I actually create it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the part about it too, right? Like you become so responsible as a being
Mm-hmm.
that you create stuff because you like, dang man, like I'm walking down the street or something like that. Like I remember this happened. I had on some flip flops, the little beach flip flop kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I was walking down the street in the Philippines, and I was walking pretty briskly because I wanted to get home pretty quickly, and I said to myself, I said, "Oh my God, I don't want to trip and mess up my sandals." I said this. Do you know? Not 4 minutes, 5 minutes later, I'm walking and I look over and I see this dog in the Philippines. There's dogs everywhere. I look over and see this dog, and I missed the step of the sidewalk, kind of being up a little bit, tripped on the sidewalk, didn't hurt myself, but my sandals tore off like.
Right.
So I'm
Yep.
not. Now I got one sandal, and because
Uh-huh.
of this, and it was either A, I perceived that it was going to happen, or B, I postulated it was going to happen, and it happened, but it
Mm-hmm.
was messed up.
Yeah, I've run into that too myself, where it's which form of causality was this, in
Right.
differentiating
Which
what
came first, the chicken or the egg?
right. So so that's it can be a liability, but it's sort of like well, an analog to it would be, you have to know the tool that you're using very
Mm-hmm.
well, because you now, it's sort of like driving a Mustang GT, and you got a 5 liter engine, and you just press the gas a little too much, and you're like, whoa, and
Right.
peeling out in the parking lot and all that, because you have all this horsepower. Is that the kind of surge you came across back in 2020, when this whole thing went from all the bookworm
Yeah.
auditing that you'd had?
No, absolutely. Because it was before I left America and started traveling abroad. And so a lot of things, as I look back on my track, a lot of things that I became aware of or happened or even talked to other people about, and the stuff came true, whatever. Like it definitely improved my ability to perceive and to be aware of my my immediate present, the power of now kind of vibe,
Mm-hmm.
and also beyond my immediate present. And that felt really, really good. It's interesting you talk about knowing the tool that you're using, because um, going clear for me has also allowed me to think more clearly about how I want to respond to things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Talk about responsibility level, and think more clearly about how I want to respond to things, because I now understand that my response is causative, period.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? My statement, my posture, my origination, whatever I'm putting out there is causative. So if I'm in a conversation with my 2D and my relationship, and I want to say something, because we have a whole range of emotions on the toe scale that we can take advantage of. I want to say something, but I then realize that, yeah, that's going to cause a
Bad
different,
effect. Mm-hmm.
right, a different effect than what I'm wanting to cause right now. So I'll choose a different response. And it has saved countless hours of discussions and challenges and problems, and oh gosh, countless hours. And I know that's true because the old me, pre-clear me, whew, I can say that now.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, am I still considered a pre-clear?
No, you're clear. Now you're pre-OT.
Okay. Ah, there you go. That makes sense. Okay. Well, pre-clear me, I remember having these arguments in relationships. And I don't know who this is for, but it is a good thing. I remember having these arguments in relationships, both platonic and romantic, and they would go for hours, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5 hour arguments. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about full on like arguments. Now I've never been a big, like, I would never cuss somebody out or do anything like that. That's never been my personality. But the feeling be there,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the pre-clear me would want to say whatever I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
and do whatever. And now I'm realizing that I can choose my feelings, my emotions, and I can also choose how I'm going to respond to things. And it's not like an automaticity. It's not something that just turns on and says, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I can choose this differently. Yeah.
So would you say that your control over reactivity is what now?
1000. Like, like it's 1000%. Like I have such control because I'm not working from a reactive mind bank.
Mm-hmm. And as far as when you're faced with adversity,
Gosh.
what happens when you're
Yeah.
faced with adversity is, before to after?
Have I I'm trying to see post clear. What adversity? So that's interesting because I think LRH talks about how you have less um a fewer accidents or fewer, you know what I mean? That
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know of any adversities that has come up. Um if there's anything to talk about, I would probably say no. I can't really think. I think it's real for me at least that when you achieve this state, you don't have as many things come up that seem like adversities. Maybe that's
Right.
probably a better way of saying it. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem like an adversity. If it's something I have to handle, okay, I go in and handle it, whether it be financial, whether it be in my relationship, whether it be, whatever. If it's something I have to handle, okay, I'll just go in and handle it. I was talking to my best friend, and we were talking about some financial stuff that's going on because we're planning this big trip, and it's going to be probably bigger than what we've ever spent on doing a event. And we started talking about the money, and I could feel his anxiety level increase because it's a big bite of the apple, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I could feel his anxiety level increase, and he even said, like, this is giving me a nervous breakdown. And I was like, right, but you can just boom, 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 boom. And you could just such and such and so and so and so and so. And I was just flowing out like the solutions that for me were solutions,
Mm-hmm.
not, trying to tell him what to do or evaluate for him, but I could just come up with solutions a lot faster. And so don't things that happen don't seem like adversities to me.
Mm-hmm.
They seem like things that, oh, I want to move this money here, or I need to generate money because I need to make some money, right? So I need to generate more money here, and this is how I'm going to do it. And
Right.
I'll just put out the call. Boop, 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 boop. I'll put out the call,
Mm-hmm.
and people will start showing up saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, I need some services. I need some help. I need some, whatever,"
Right.
and it works.
Yeah. So the quote unquote universe is, in S in parentheses, respond in kind to the degree that you are theta the solver as opposed to theta the problem.
Gosh, that's so true for me. Absolutely so true for me because my ability my ability to respond even to like physical body conditions, right? Um, Perfect example, teeth.
Mm-hmm.
This is a thing. If you read Dianetics, LRH talks in the chapter on clear, and I think it's also in psychosomatic illness, the chapter on psychosomatic illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
LRH talks about cavities
Mm-hmm.
and teeth being a factor in one's bank, and uh, I don't get cavities, right? I don't get cavities, and it's something. And I wouldn't attribute it to my like superb dental hygiene. Like I brush my teeth and I floss and I do stuff I got to do, but it's not like I've never had to
Mm-hmm.
have that challenge
Yeah,
because
I experienced that too.
yeah, yeah. While other people who probably have even better tools and the sonic brush and the water pick, and they
Mm-hmm.
do all this stuff, and then they
Mm-hmm.
go to the dentist. "Ah, you got another cavity? What?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
thing.
yeah. I
It's a
I
thing."
I have one filling, and that was due to something that broke. That the tooth actually just broke. It wasn't even a cavity when I was a kid at 5 or 6 years old in
Yeah.
Hollywood. and I haven't had a cavity since. I went and got my teeth checked the other day, and the dentist said, I can't do anything for you. I just cleaned your teeth. There
Yeah.
wasn't anything to do. I'm 55 years old. And he's like, yeah, I've never seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of teeth and yours are in great shape. And I was just, I wanted to just go, it's Dianetics, doc. It's Dianetics.
Right. That's the first thought I always think. That's the first thought I think when I think about that. Because I enjoy a good dessert. I'm gonna be
Mhm,
honest with you. One of my addictions was sugar addiction. I enjoy a good sweet.
mhm,
And I've totally gotten that under control now. So now I'm choosing when I want to, indulge. But um you would think after eating so much sugar or having been a sugar addict, any kind of addict messes up your system on some level, right? And it has not been a thing for me as far as, my teeth goes and stuff. So it just feels really good, in this independent Scientology tells all kind of conversation. It feels really good to know that you can improve your condition, you can improve your body, you can improve your ability to think and to not have to second guess yourself so much. That was a
mhm.
thing. Like not second guessing yourself and being very um sure
Certainty.
about what you know.
Mhm,
Yeah, there's a level of
mhm,
certainty that comes along with this.
mhm.
And so I feel very good in knowing that.
Excellent. So my next question is since we did your clear certainty rundown and your sunshine rundown and everything, can you give a little information on what your experience was with the clear certainty rundown and sunshine rundown? And I've got one other question for you, and then we'll end off. But could you give a
Okay.
little retrospective on what it did for you?
Yeah. So I would say with the clear certainty right now, um, pinpointing. Oh God, I don't want to say too much. Just do it, right? But uh, going to the point where you realize what is happening really, right? And I know this is supposed to be a tell-all, but I can't tell everything. It's telling
Right,
all, but not
right,
everything.
right. You
Okay.
don't want to give the spoilers.
Right, right. But getting to a point where you know that you know and you realize what's going on up here, in the mind space or whatever. It feels amazing to do that. So the clear starting to run now really did help me know, oh, that's what happened. Okay, I get it now. And
Mhm,
yeah, I know that that's the case. The sunshine right now was really interesting because I never felt this before, and I'm 100% promise you this. Um, I felt this level, and I talked about it in my success story. I felt this level of empathy. And I know sometimes I think we did a podcast. Are Scientologists mean? You
mhm,
know, I
mhm,
think we did this thing because sometimes people could think that we're unfeeling,
mhm,
right? Because
mhm,
we have a mastery of our emotions on some level or seek to have a mastery of our emotions on some level. And so people think, oh, you don't care or you don't feel what I'm feeling or because you don't have the same emotional responses to certain things, right?
mhm. Right.
So when I was doing the clear certainty rundown and I'm going through the processes and there's this level of oneness or maybe that's not the right word. Pandeterminism probably is probably a better word. There was this level of pandeterminism that I got. And with that came a huge amount of empathy and a huge amount of realizing like, wow, I can know where you are on the tone scale, or I can know where you are in your journey. Talking about the other person.
Mhm,
I can know where you are on your journey and I can empathize with you in that I see where you are. I get why you feel the way you feel. And I know what you're dealing with your own reactive mind and the stuff that you got going on. And I get it. Right. And that felt really good. That was a huge win for me because I've never been one to say that I've been extremely empathetic throughout my lifetime. And now I feel that so much. And it brought me to not it wasn't tears at first. At first it was just a smile and an awareness. Then I walked upstairs and I looked out over the city, and it was this building thing I was on. I looked out over the city and I started crying.
Tearing
I
up.
started I got yeah, I started just tearing up because it was like, yeah, I feel people and I care about people and I want to help people and I want like it just was so nice to feel that
Mhm.
with the sunshine rundown. And that's just my experience. You know, everybody's gonna have their own. But yeah,
Well, and this is an interesting segue because what what we are doing now after your clear certainty rundown and your sunshine rundown is we're doing the quad grades, the final bits of
the
each
grades.
grade per LRH's advices on such for somebody that is clear. And we're on the grade one. I just finished grade one quad and the havingness yesterday.
Yep.
And this goes right in line with what you were just saying. Do you want to read this now that you have it in front
Yeah.
of you and tell everybody about this? And then we can call it a
Yeah.
day.
So thank you so much. So last thing is after going through this process, right, we had to go and complete my grades. And grade one is what we're on now. And uh Jonathan was running me through the havingness for grade one. And this is the win that came up, and I want to just read it to you. It says, it's so interesting to notice that I was unable to allow other people to have their space. I never realized that it was me being comfortable with large areas and wide open spaces. I could be comfortable with that. But up close and personal space was something that I was unable to easily have. This caused problems for me in more ways than one. And I'm parenthetically will say this, particularly in my relationships,
Mm-hmm.
because there was this separation anxiety, or I had to, if my 2D was in the bedroom, I had to go to the bedroom. Like there was this thing about space. It was a weird thing, guys. But it says this caused problems for me in more ways than one, but I was never able to recognize the fact that my inability to have someone else having their space,
Mm-hmm.
if
The
that makes sense.
accent on have capitalized.
Yeah, I was never able, I had this inability to have that I couldn't have that. Someone else could have their own space because I'm
Mm-hmm.
here. Like, why would you need to be away from me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the thing, right? This is crazy for me. Anyway, so the having this renown, I'm sorry, the grade one having this process was really, really helping me. And so I now had this realization that people can have their space. And I laughed so much. My needle floated, and I was able to allow other people their space. And this is huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this was just a happiness process after the grade one process quad itself.
Right.
And
Right.
that had to do with the people thing that you talked about on the Sunshine Rundown. I thought that was really interesting that it was sort of like, okay, and then now this.
Yeah, yeah. All of this thing, all of this connected. So all I want to say is thank you so much for having me on and being
Mm-hmm.
able to share my success story, my win with the world. This is really powerful. Get in session. I'm gonna just say get in session. Um, as an independent Scientologist, for me, being able to audit and do my courses and stuff all from the comfort of my home feels so good. And it's just made my life so much easier in so many ways. And so uh get here. It's worth it.
I agree. Well, thank you again, Quenton. I really enjoyed having you on again to talk about this, and it's a personal thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's a very personal thing. Until you get to that point, you might not understand what personal means in that sense, but it really is personal. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share that personal experience.
Thank you so much.
So for myself and Quenton, we hope you enjoyed this look into going clear. And all I have to say to Lawrence Wright is put that pipe and smoke that, Lawrence, because clear is a real thing. So
Yeah.
namaste, and we love you. Bye for now.
Peace.